sometimes the hardest part is watching everybody else carry on living normally around you while your family feels completely stuck in survival mode. And I think that there are so many parents out there carrying around this really quiet kind of grief that nobody talks about properly because it feels incredibly uncomfortable and very, very shameful to admit it out loud. This week on Facebook, I admitted it for the first time, and the response I got was overwhelming. And in this video, I want to talk to you honestly, like I did on Facebook, about that grief, why it happens, why it absolutely does not make you a bad parent, and why understanding it might actually help you stop feeling so alone and broken all the time. Because if you've ever sat there watching everybody else living their lives, going on holiday, having days out, while you're at home trying to hold it all together with a struggling child or many struggling children and thinking, why does my life feel so much harder than theirs? I need you to know right now that you're absolutely not the only one. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Liz Mears. I am a neurodivergent parenting coach. I am an AUDHDer. I also have OCD, and most importantly, I'm a home educating mum to two fantastic neurodivergent kids. And I'm here just talking about my life journey through the education system with my kids, through my own stuff, and just here to share real life with you. So let's start with how the world feels like it's shrinking. I think that one of the hardest things that nobody prepares us as parents and carers for is how incredibly small your world can get when your child is struggling deeply. And again, this is no part the child's fault. These are observations about being a parent going through this. So this tiny world that comes around you, it happens very, very gradually. And at first, you're still trying to do all the normal things, right? You're still trying to keep up. You're still trying to say yes to plans and days out and coffee mornings and social things and family events. But then the anxiety has started, or the burnout, or the school trauma, or the overwhelm, or just complete shutdowns and panic attacks. And before you realise it, your entire life has become emotional mathematics. And I don't know about you, but I was never very good at maths anyway. But this kind of maths is all about, can your children cope with this? Will there be too much sensory overwhelm for them? How long is this going to take to recover from afterwards? Is it worth risking the dysregulation? i.e., is it going to be a net positive overall for your children to go to do these things? And then on top of that is, can you lovingly hold that space for your children today? Because something I've learned along the lines, and something my mum has always told me, is that my family needs me functioning to enable them to function, right? So can you cope with the demands of the day to be positive, uplifting, honest and real with your children today? Do you have enough nervous system left for yourself to be managing this outing if it all goes wrong? Whilst all this is going on, everybody else just seems to keep living. You're watching your friends going on holidays, they're taking spontaneous shopping trips, they're going for coffee, they are posting family outings from days out, they're talking about the clubs, the awards that are being won, the sleepovers that are happening, the birthday parties, and all these little normal things that people just don't even think about twice. And you used to be one of those people who didn't think about it twice as well. But right now you are sat trying to work out whether your child can cope with Tesco's, because perhaps you can't go by yourself. So your kid has to come with you, and therefore you have to get them regulated enough and you regulated enough to be able to cope with it. And the level of contrast that you have between your real life and what you see on social media, even though most of the time we know that what we see on social media isn't the truth, you still find that level genuinely heartbreaking sometimes. The jealousy that nobody talks about. Now, some people down in my comments said that they don't get jealous, and I can understand that, but perhaps they don't get jealous. But they did all admit to feeling some type of way about this stuff. If I'm being really honest, I got really, really jealous. I got jealous of my friends that were going on holiday or had their children doing things that I knew my child on the best days was very, very capable of. However, because of their mental health and the school trauma, they just couldn't do it. And it does make you feel some type of way. There's no other way of doing it. People don't like admitting it because instantly the guilt comes in. Oh my God, that sounds awful to say. I should just be grateful. Somebody's got it worse than me. And I love my child dearly. And all those things, they can exist at once. There is duality in life. I think it's really important for us to recognize that, is that you can absolutely wholeheartedly adore your child, but also feel sad that they're not getting to do what you think they're capable of in life. Because let's be real, they're very capable, right? So having this duality, it doesn't make you a bad parent. And that jealousy isn't even really about the other people. I just don't think most parents are sat there wishing they had somebody else's child. I don't think they're grieving anything else other than a bit of freedom, that ease, that spontaneity, that connection, that sometimes I think parents miss themselves. And obviously, when you choose to become a parent, you do give up your identity. But I think there comes a point where you think that you are going to get it back to some degree. And then something like educational trauma comes along, or some kind of, dis-ease or medical problem or neurodivergence pops its head up, and suddenly everybody's realizing that they've been living all of their lives with ADHD and not even realizing it. And nobody really talks about the survival mode that comes with that, because it's like a full-time job being in survival mode to get everybody through the day. The invisible burnout. The other thing that I think happens is that parents become so used to surviving that at any level and on any level, they stop realizing how burnt out they are. Your nervous system changes, you become hypervigilant all the time, you're constantly scanning for moods, tone of voice, emotional shifts, signs of overwhelm, signs of dysregulation, trying to prevent meltdowns before they happen. You stop fully relaxing because your body no longer trusts the peace. Because you just know that any minute now, something could change everything. Meanwhile, society is praising you for coping so well. You're surviving on caffeine, adrenaline, and fear, and you haven't properly rested in months, if not years. You're panic crying in supermarkets because they haven't got a special food that your child particularly loves and needs and will eat comfortably. But you've already been to Tesco's, Asda, and Lidl, and nobody's got it. So what the hell do you do with it? So you have to go home and explain to your child that they don't have those things. And when they are in such a state of nervous system dysregulation, that is a big deal. They can't cope with it. It isn't just a case of, oh, get on with it. It is a case of they are at the complete ends of their tether and they needed that to feel safe. And you needed that for them to feel safe so that you could relax as well. This leads to you lying awake at 3 a.m. trying to work out how and why everything became so hard and why everybody else out there seems to be managing life while your family feels like it's drowning. And the wild thing is that people will look at you and say the word resilience. You're so resilient. It's so amazing how you get on and do these things. You just keep going. You get up every day and you do this, and I'm so in awe of how you do that. Well, tell me, did I have another choice? Because I don't think I did. That is what survival mode is. And then there's the grief of what your child misses too. And I think there is another layer to this grief as well, because you don't just grieve for yourself, you grieve for your child too. You grieve for the ease that you wanted them to experience in life, the friendships, the confidence, the sleepovers, the parties, the freedom, the version of childhood and teenhood that you imagined they were going to have. And that grief can sit alongside enormous, huge love. That's the thing that I really need parents to understand. Again, duality exists. You can feel that grief for them and also completely and utterly adore and worship the ground that they walk upon. These things are not mutually exclusive. And I think for me, this is where the reframe comes in. The first thing that comes to mind with regards to the grief you have for what your child is missing out on, one thing that really changed life for me was understanding that my son actually had different wants and needs for his life than I wanted for him. Imagine that, a whole human being having their own ideas. But he's quite happy. He and I sat down many times to discuss how he was happy with things. And then we also left it open that when he was ready for something new and something different, he would bring it to me and ask. And of course, I will help him do that. Just recently, that has been college. He'd really like to look into what college courses there are to do. He's not even sure what he wants to do. He just knows that he's ready for something. And that is how that reframe of, hold on a minute, my son is okay right now. My child is okay right now. That's enough. And I think that's where the healing starts, is when you start shaming yourself for having these feelings and you realize that all that matters is that you concentrate on you and your family. The problem is that society has taught parents that you're not allowed to say certain things out loud and you're expected to carry it all and you're expected to perform. You know, when I was younger, it was to keep up with the Joneses, right? Now it's keep up with everybody on social media. None of it means shit. None of it means absolutely anything. What matters is you and your family. And I think the real healing happens, hopefully, when you find this video and I say to you, that's what I felt. It's okay that I felt that way. It doesn't make me a bad person. And you can say to that, yeah, me too. And that's when something softens, right? That's when we are allowed to stop feeling like a monster for having human feelings. There is no toxic positivity, there's no judgment, there's no more dishonesty. This is all about having an honest connection with yourself and your children and being allowed to move yourself through that in whatever way is going to suit you and your family best, because what suits your family isn't going to suit mine, vice versa. So if you have been carrying around this strange mixture of fierce love and grief and exhaustion and jealousy and guilt and survival mode, I need you to know something today. None of those feelings make you a bad person. They make you completely and utterly human. And I hate to tell you this, but you're not Wonder Woman. Sorry. Bit of a letdown for me as well. You can love your child fiercely and you can still grieve for what you thought you were going to have. However, right now, what you need to work on is reframing that and saying yes to the family that you have and working to the best of your ability for all of you going forward. That is where the healing begins and the new life starts. I have actually got a brand new workbook out called Calm in the Chaos. It is available for pre-order right now as of today, which is May 29th. It will be coming out in the world by June the 8th, and it is something that you can handle, hold, scribble in, jot, absolutely everything you want to do. It's going to help you reframe and reclaim your life from wherever you are at right now in this world, so that you stop blaming yourself for what's going on and realize that the revolution is you in your household. The revolution is just love, right? I will put details for that down in the description or the comments, whatever's easiest, if you'd like to come and check that out and grab the pre-order. I share these things just so that people feel less alone. I felt incredibly alone over the last decade, and I don't want anybody else feeling that way either. So if that's something that interests you, please do like, share, and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me, because the more parents and carers that I can reach, the better we can make this world, right? I will see you next week. Sending you so much love. Take care of yourselves.